You're listening to the MLS Fantasy Insider, bringing you weekly tips, tricks, and advice for the official MLS fantasy game.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider. So happy to have everyone here tonight. Let's see here. I know had a little bit of strangeness happen earlier this week. Definitely we'll go into that in just a second. But of course, since Gene is here with us,
recording in progress.
Bam, there it goes. So that has been started. Happy to have everyone with us. Let me get the social out today. Whoops. Let's see here. We're live. This, bam, go there. There we go. Copy, paste. Go there. Go over here. Bam, bam, post. There, it's out on Twitter X Blue Sky. So we've got all that stuff going there. Heading over to Discord. Get it all. Oh, come on. Load for me, please. Load for me, please. There. So, part one. You guys may have noticed that I said part one in the video link, and I don't know if I've mentioned it since we started the stream, but yes, this is a part one of two, and I'll get into that in just a moment once I get the final messages out there. Hey everyone. Okay, there we go. Social is out. Everything is going. Thank you everyone for joining us live tonight. If this is the first time you have joined us for our YouTube live stream, welcome. Happy to have you here. Please do like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. This was a strange round or strange week for broadcasting. Normally we're live pretty much every Monday. This is the pretty much category right now. Of course, with Labor Day, we were a little bit up in the air of what was going to happen. What's going on, Eric? What's going on, Kingdom? Gene, how you guys doing tonight? We were a little bit up in the air about what we were going to have with the broadcast. And you all may have seen that I had a post last night about a family emergency that ended the stream plans late before. That was Ashley's son. He had a pretty gnarly bicycle accident, got scraped up, and of course, family first with the show here. We called it so that she had time with him, but thankfully Tyler is here to join us tonight. Ashley's still just nursing little kiddo right there. He's doing fine. Everyone is doing fine, but that's what it was. Ashley had to tend to him, and so of course we were happy to let that happen. But it delayed our live, which is fine. But that's why this is one of those usually times for going live. But we are happy to be with you all here to talk our part one of our round 27 DGW previews. So you have the socials out. Please like and subscribe. Send that out there. Help get some more eyes on here. And we will go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 27 of the MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by sportsmanship, which is something clearly that even money cannot buy. Sorry. Actually brought to you by the amazing MLS Fantasy Insider Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to keep this project going. Find out more over at patreon.com/MLSFI. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partner in fantasy, Tyler Norman. How you doing tonight, Tyler?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent.
How are you doing, Reid?
I'm well. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who weren't in the stream when we started, of course, we had a little delay with our stream this week. We were going to record live last night, but Ashley's son got into a little bicycle, and canceled the show so that she could be with him. She's still tending to him. He's fine, but that's what it was. So we're happy to be back, happy that everything is good for him. And Tyler, I am happy to be able to chat with you, not just about what happened last week in round 26, but even more so with the shenanigans that happened at the Leagues Cup, which I know you and Ashley were both at. But let me do first little plug For those of you who saw the title of the video or the stream or the podcast, whatever you're looking at, you notice that it said part one. And that is because this is a strange round. I'm getting this out early. I'm going to mention it next round as well. This round covers 2 weeks. So maybe a little bit of logistical planning you need to think about, but we've got a special 2-part round 27 preview. Don't worry, we're not going to cheat you on any of the tips you're going to need to know before this weekend, but please do know that this round 27 DGW spans 2 weeks of the actual calendar, so be ready with that. So, but before we get more into that, Tyler, I want to talk about round 26, and I am happy if you want to just drop in a little bit of Leagues Cup into there as well. So how'd you do, and what are your takeaways?
Yeah, I'll drop in the bit after I go through the week. So I finished on 70 points, which ended up being week rank 530, and I'm up to overall rank 165. Congrats to Ashley. I was ahead right before point corrections. I was up 72 to 71, and then point corrections happened, and I ended up losing 72 to 70. So, congrats to her, I guess, on that. I gotta say that, I guess, in there because it hurts a little, you know. Some takeaways from this week. This is now the second game in a row that Atlanta has not looked half bad defensively. And the big change that has happened is they took Guzan out of net.
Yeah.
Now they have a guy named Hebert in net, and they have back-to-back clean sheets. And the guy to actually start focusing on is a 4.0 defender in Ronald Hernandez. It's not someone you would normally think of. Normally you think of like, oh, Brooks Lennon, pick him up. But no, it's the 4.0 that you're wanting right now. Another takeaway is Dryer reawakening. Remember how we were all kind of iffy on even if we wanted him this round? Well, he definitely produced. So maybe he's starting to bring back his MVP form again. I feel like he goes in and out of spurts a lot. I have one surprise for this week, which is Houston's defense is actually just like Atlanta's. They're starting to pick up, and their change was they switched their center back and ended up picking up Antonio Carlos, formerly from Orlando, and they've actually started to lock in a little bit defensively. And Antonio Carlos has scored a goal already. So just kind of keep an eye on that. See if maybe it's worth a shot to grab someone like a Houston defender. A couple disappointments this week. Alonso Martinez, just in and of itself, he was a disappointment. He had so much potential this week and he floundered. And Ashley and I last week we talked about comparing 2 different players, which was comparing Leuven versus Hartel and then comparing Sun versus Bawanga. And clearly there was a winner on each of those. Leuven played a lot better than Hartel in this last game. And then surprisingly, Bawanga was the play over Sun this week. And that's kind of why Ashley and I wanted to do that kind of debate argument thing so that you guys can get into your head. Who is the play, or is it going to be rotating like Houston was many years ago on who the player is to pick up? All right, now fantasy aside, that was quite a Leagues Cup game. I am honored because I actually was one of the people that was chosen to be at the center banner, and I was on the field. Messi was the closest person to me as they were walking out the field. Also, Busquets is super tall. Side note. But yeah, that was a really fun experience. Great game to watch. If you haven't watched it at all, I highly recommend even just watching it all the way through. The atmosphere was intense. It was the highest attendance game in Sounders history. I believe it was 69,314 or something like that. And then there were some antics at the end. Sounders ended up winning. I won't spoil it just in case, but they won. I already said it. They won, but I won't say the score. And then literally as the whistle was blowing, Suarez ends up running up to Obed Vargas and he puts him in a chokehold. And from there, the next thing that you see is Busquets punches Obed Vargas in the jaw. And then the Sounders trainer comes running, one of the trainers comes running over and starts throwing punches on Falcone, which causes a massive brawl. And Suarez ends up coming out, and that same Sounders coach trainer guy, Suarez ends up spitting in the face of that coach. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, which Reid and I talked about earlier, is MLS and Don Garber are not afraid of doing punishments across a tournament to MLS regular season. You can think back to when Ben Olsen was making negative comments during one of the, I think it was CCL at the time. He was talking really negatively about the refs, and he ended up getting a 1 or 2 game suspension from MLS for that. And then the big notorious one, which the Sounders call the Red Wedding, was when Clint Dempsey in the US Open Cup did the most infamous red card ever and tore up the referee's notebook. And he ended up getting suspended for 3 games in MLS play from that. And that was just in a US Open Cup game. So the fact that Luis Suarez spit, which is already in and of itself a big punishment on a coach, there's a pretty good chance he could get suspended either. Well, they don't have a game this weekend, so they have a full week to look through footage and decide how badly they want to punish him. So just keep an eye on that. Anything you want to add, Reid?
No, you covered a lot of it. I mean, of course, I was at the Cincinnati game, and so just takes from that game. Philadelphia just pressured, and from the last 3 home games I've seen with Cincinnati, they have really struggled to control the midfield and be able to build out effectively. There was so many pieces that were added this open window that the already questionable jive that people had is even more exacerbated. You could see it. You could see it there on the field with people doing back heels to no one being there. People sending crosses to guys who didn't make a run, and just all of that was on display at the game, and it's really concerning. I think a lot of us are already off of Orishano as a player we're going to a lot. I know people had sort of talked about him a little bit the last week or two, and he was a sub in the game. Definitely helped picked up the pace when he came on. That was for sure, because he was able to get more into that area. But Evander was everywhere, and not in a good way. There were times I was like, why are you back here defending Evander? I get it. You don't need to be. Why are you back here next to Miazga right now? This is crazy. It's crazy time for me. And so that was definitely concerning. And if people weren't already off Evander, I mean, I think you just got to really consider what you're selecting going forward, because he's definitely in a funk. We'll talk about midfield more in this next round, but I mean, I think this is one that, because I see him just kind of get auto-added so many times. But we've talked about that too. And I mean, clearly after this 3-game slump, I question some of that. But it was disappointing to see, but great to take Todd LaRue there, who totally had just unbridled fandom awakened to him at one point, and literally was lifting up his little long sleeve shirt because he had an Evander shirt on underneath there. It was yeah, Evander. And so it was wild. When they had the red card that happened after Evander got fouled, he was like, why did he hurt Evander? Why did he hurt Evander? So that was a joy there, but definitely concerned fantasy wise. I mean, I got 6 points for the Philly clean sheet. I was hoping that maybe it was going to be some goals on both ways and I'd get some Wagner points there, but I got the clean sheet points, so that's fine. I ended up on 71 overall. I forgot to say that. So just a tinch better than Tyler did. 71. Won most of my head-to-heads, lost one of them, 71-73. So I've seen a lot of scores in the chat right now with people in in the high 60s, high 70s. So I mean, I feel like I think Tyler and I probably hit a good average score this round. Like people who are trying to play, be competitive. Like if you got in the low 70s, that's probably pretty good. A lot of other people were probably right there with you this week. So definitely had a few little flubs with my team. Let me get my points loaded up here real quick.
Yeah, highest score on the week was 95, so
No, I think 70s completely respectable.
70 is pretty average.
I think. I mean, I had Hack come in off the bench. My keeperoo did not work out where I went with LAFC and New York City, so just flub that right there. The only thing I can say is with Hack on my bench, I had Mukhtar as my captain, and he was almost my best captain. I mean, I had Dreyer. That would have been 11 points there. I had 9 from Mukhtar. So I was very close to captaining the best option that I had, but flubbed completely on my forward picks. I mean, that's going to be my disappointment this round was New York City and Nashville. Both of those teams just did not, New York City FC just did not produce like I thought they would. I had Surridge, I had Martinez, and I had Sun. And I was like, this week, 3 forwards. Let's do it.
Yeah, and
No.
the reason I really brought up Atlanta as a surprise and takeaway is because they were playing in Nashville.
Yeah.
And Mukhtar had 6 shots, 16 key passes, and they couldn't do anything with that. He put up a 9 with no goal contributions. That's crazy.
No, I know. It was good. I mean, the Vander got a 5, which is still kind of wild for just the kind of pitiful showing that I saw. But that's general stuff. I think you hit the high points on. I also wanted to call out that Sporting Kansas City Colorado game. One, not just because Sporting Kansas City dropped 4 goals on Colorado, which we're not surprised. Colorado's not the best defense, but Joveljic got those goals, which is good to see there. But Navarro had some points again, so we're continuing to see his success without Jordy, who got a 5 at Toronto in their derby game right there. So not a huge takeaway there for him. So, but the biggest thing that I noticed from this round is when you look at some of the top point getters, you have a good mix of familiar names, but other names that maybe aren't your go-to players there, especially in the midfield. And we're getting to that point of the season where we've got call-ups, we've got rotations, we've got people who are punching their ticket for MLS Cup, people who are just packing their bags for MLS Cup. So different players are starting to get in. Rotations are happening. And it's going to be a factor into your teams. Looking at lineups will be more important. And dare I say, Team Ranchinator's differential article could have some gems that particularly shine here at the end of the season. So it was a good round. Tyler hit the high points of it right there, so I won't go too much into it because the biggest thing that we want to talk about this week is the strange multi-week schedule that we have and some tactics for how you can help navigate that. And we'll be getting into all that coming up right after this.
I assume you're going to mention that it's because of International Week.
Yes. Pupperoo is not behaving. It's the European people this time, really, because we're not having.
Yep. So there could be names that are called up too.
Yeah. I should mention that here. I'll make sure.
Trying to think. Like for example, I think, Messi won't be missing any games, but like Messi and Rodrigo de Paul got called up.
World Cup qualifiers. That's why.
Yep.
There. So chat, let's see here. Should always read the differentials. Yes, it is. Tyler has great. I love that comment you made a few weeks ago, Tyler, where you had said like, "Hey Christian, what's going on?" Where you had said like one of your biggest growth points was not captaining your differential recommendations. That that stuck with me, and I really enjoyed that there.
That's what I used to do.
I agree, Gene. Yeah, the whole team. I mean, I got some good points from your defense, so I'm not going to mention there, but I mean, not for keeping the clean sheet. So that was, I at least enjoyed that, but I was really hoping for more from Martinez, for absolutely sure here. Let's see here. With hope, we'll get Christian back on closer to the end of the season once his superstition has run its course. So maybe you can come back on, Christian, for the recap episode. All right, let me make sure I've got. Let me get everything prepped up here. Social. Let's see here. Pupperoo. I'm really hoping that you're not telling me you gotta go to the bathroom, Pupperoo. What are you eating? Nothing you're supposed to be eating. We'll see here. I'll find out. I'll find out. What are you eating? Sorry, I got my hands in my dog's mouth right now. Stop eating paper. This is it. This is the quality content.
Get the doggo.
Okay, let's see here. Let me get this social now. Dog. Okay. I may have to pause momentarily for the dog.
Pupperoo.
I do. I know. Pupperoo is. All right.
Being not a roo.
Doesn't happen often, but I do know you too well, Christian. All right, hold on. I'm going to have to stop for Pupperoo. Yes, I will put Pupperoo on the screen. Junk. Oh, Pupperoo getting heavy. Here is Pupperoo. Look at this. This is Pupperoo.
The puppy.
And I think Pupperoo is telling me that she has got to go to the bathroom. So pardon me for one quick moment as I do this, and Tyler can vamp with the quality content that we'll have for the mid-break. So just a moment. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I got mid-break duty. What's the mid-break duty? Ask me questions. Q&A. Speedrun Q&A. Go. It's my favorite Sounders player. All time, definitely Ozzy Alonso. Damn it. How long have I been playing? I believe I started in 2013, I think was the first team I made a fantasy team for. And yeah, that was like the Chatango days, I believe. That was interesting. What's the capital of North Dakota? I'm gonna sound like someone who really shouldn't be a teacher, and I'm gonna say Lincoln, but I'm pretty sure that's South Dakota. Favorite brand of ranch? Always Hidden Valley. Always Hidden Valley. Favorite color? Green. Is it not obvious? Rave green? Come on now. What's the weather in Seattle? It's a little overcast. I think it's like 72 right now. Not too bad. It was like 78 today. Getting prepared for the new school year. We just had our meet the teacher. First day of school is tomorrow, so gonna be a fun new year. What's the airspeed? I tried to answer this question in chat the other day. I'm pretty sure that's not actually the fastest bird. The fastest bird I think is actually some sort of falcon. So I want to say it's like 100 something miles an hour, but I'm not totally sure. Favorite movie is between Avengers Endgame and Goal. If any of you have watched Goal, I love Goal. Also, Shaolin Soccer is amazing too. Best differential hit. Since I started writing, I'm not totally sure. I think before I started writing, my best hit was definitely it was a guy that's since passed away. He had some sort of heart attack or something like that. It was a Miami center back that I had picked, and it was um just the most random pick because Miami's defense was horrible. This was pre-Messi. And he ended up scoring a goal and getting a clean sheet. I think he scored like 16 on the week. That was probably my best time I picked him. European or African? I'm not sure what you're referring to with that. Soccer? I guess European soccer. Um, Favorite Pokemon? My favorite Pokemon is definitely Entei. I actually buy, sell, and trade Pokemon cards, so I've had a really fun time doing that, and it's helped me a lot in my career with like a side hobby. What? Who is the player? Former. Uh, Anton Walks. That's who it was. Anton Walks. Do you think Vancouver only hires coaches who look like Bond villains? Um, I think not only do they hire ones that look like Bond villains, they probably also star as Bond villains in movies. Good question. Good question. Gene, what does a European versus African even mean? I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, I've never watched Monty Python. That's probably why I can't. Let's see, what other cool things do I have around here? I have my first signed Sounders item, which was a signed hat by Ozzy Alonso. I got in 2010, which is the second year the Sounders started playing in MLS. I also have a signed cap by Stephen Fry. I actually won this in a giveaway from Wafed Bank. Just a nice little giveaway there. I do have a signed Nathan jersey, but that's in the closet, so I'm not gonna go get that out yet. That's another differential that actually probably was the one that really made me start writing articles was Nathan. I picked him week in and week out before he became popular. And then the one week I faded him was the week that he ended up getting a red card and scored like a -2 on the week. So yeah, that was a fun one. He was the original differential 0.07% pick rate. What was the first soccer match you attended? Professional soccer match?
Okay.
First professional soccer match was probably, I think it was actually a Sounders versus Portland match was my first one I attended back in 2011 or 2012. It was a really good one. The
Okay.
atmosphere was insane.
So sorry. Back. Thank you very much. We'll see if Pepperoo is now going to behave. And I will put out the social, and we will get started with our final segment.
We did a Q&A.
Perfect. Excellent. I appreciate it. Here we go. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our episode 28, round 27, part 1 preview. And this is the reason why I'm saying the part 1 preview. Because this is, as I mentioned at the top of the show, an extended round. 2 weeks. We have a 2-week round 27. Why? Why do we have that round? Well, it's simple. World Cup qualifying season. A lot of our European players are going to be gone, called up. We've seen things about some of the American players as well, but a lot of other players are going to be called up. You'll see some of those names coming out. That's why there's this break to allow those teams the opportunity to have those players go and come back and still be able to contribute to their domestic success. Or not. We'll see. That's starting to happen too. So what does that mean for us? It means that we have some games starting this week, a break, and a whole bunch of games next week. It's all part of the same game round. Might be different game weeks, like MLS likes to talk, but it's still the same fantasy round. So what do you need to know about this week for round 27? Well, games start on Saturday, September 6th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's important because we have 3 games that day. Houston versus LA Galaxy, St. Louis versus Dallas, and Chicago versus the New England Revolution. Then on Sunday, September 7th, we have 1 game at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is Sporting Kansas City versus Austin. Those teams, those 8 teams, are your double game week teams right there. So every team that is playing this week, end of this week, those are the double game week teams. Houston, LA Galaxy, St. Louis, Dallas, Chicago, New England Revolution, Sporting Kansas City, and Austin. Of those teams, Chicago is the only one with a double home game. For better or for worse for them. But those are your double game week teams. So everybody else is playing on Saturday, September 13th. So a week and change from now. And that is your usual MLS Apple TV schedule, 7:30s, 8:30s, 9:30s, and so on. So this is going to be an interesting round to plan your aroos, your keep-aroos, your auto-aroos, your switch-aroos, everything that's going on there, and to balance your single-game week player insertion. Because as we know, there's always some single-game week players who sneak in there. It's going to be interesting to figure out which ones this round, since you've got to lock in your double game week teams even more. But there'll also be some chances for you to preview some of those double game week players before you want to go with a single game week player. That'll be a fun little twist that we don't always see happen. So this week we are just talking about the double game week players. Next week, it'll be a catch-up week. For those of you who might have missed something, who forgot about something, or are toying around with some single game week players, we will let you mull all over that for this round, and we'll come back to you next week to talk single game week players only. So we are only talking double game week players right now. And an important carryover I'm also going to add of something we don't know yet that is going to impact, potentially could impact, let me put that there, this round. And that is, as Tyler mentioned early on, the shenanigans that happened after Leagues Cup. Seattle does play in that final round on September 13th, as does Miami, who kicks things off in that final round on the 13th. We have not yet heard if there is going to be any discipline from that fallout. A lot of us expect it. Some people don't expect anything, but a lot of people expect it. We don't know if it will be individual player targeted for their actions. We don't know if there'll be mass confrontation language that's going to be thrown there for what happened, but players impacted from potentially the Leagues Cup shenanigans, the brawl that happened, could very likely not feature in the games coming up for this round, if, as some people are desiring, the rest of the season. We shall see what happens with that. But please do take that of note that keep an eye on what comes from MLS Official because there could be some additional updates from that. Did I miss anything, Tyler?
I don't believe so. It sounded like
We
we
covered
covered everything.
Yeah, a bit of an extended housekeeping this time, kind of a throwback to old formats that we've had, but wanted to really touch on because this is a strange round that we have. If you are in any way confused about what's going on or just looking for some extra tips, head over to the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord channel. Look for the mega reference in our fantasy tools. It has all the information about double game weeks, about call-ups, about players that you might need to help fill in, to have safe scrubs, people on set pieces. So check that out, see what's going on. Don't just ask your questions in the general chat. But yeah, MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord, the easiest way to find that community. Okay, Tyler, that's enough about the little logistics for this round. Let's talk players, keepers and defenders, double game week focus. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting week because there's a lot of fun ways that you can maneuver, not just defense, but any position where you can go like a double game week into a single game week or double into double. And for the Saturday games, I actually think the best choice for a goalie in the Saturday games is Jonathan Bond. I was talking up Houston's defense earlier in the segment, and I am gonna put my money where my mouth is and pick up a goalie, which is Jonathan Bond. And I'm actually gonna pair him with Antonio Carlos also, which I'm throwing them on the bench. So I'm a little nervous about it, but at the same time, that's what you do for a keeperoo. I currently have the transition into Brad Stuver for Austin. I don't like it. I just have it in there. I'm probably gonna have a single game week on the backside. But I'm just gonna run Jonathan Bond for the doubles and see how that works. For defenders, I already mentioned Antonio Carlos to pair up. I do kind of like Brendan Heinzike because he gets bonus points most of the time as well. I think Andrew Gutman should be a lock on everybody's team, having 2 home games, and he gets into the attack quite a bit. And then realistically, that's the only defense I like this week for doubles. I have single game weeks for the other 2, but I'm going to avoid talking about them until next week.
That's right. It'll be difficult, but yes, you do have to resist the urge to do that. Yeah, so I have a little bit similar mindset from you. When I look at these double game week teams, there's really only 2 who stand out as even potentially viable for your team. You talked up some of Houston's defense earlier in the show. It's still not 100% solid. They actually have a few more offensive options, I think, that may be a bit more appealing as maybe differentials than going with their defense. LA just came in 3rd in Leagues Cup with one of the worst records in the league, getting to the Champions League next year. That's mind-boggling with our system. But they've got a little bit of potential right there. They're not the weakened team that they were at the start of the season, and so there's definitely opportunities there. And they're not a defensive powerhouse, and so I'm not interested in either of those teams for defense or for goalkeepers. St. Louis versus Dallas, basically the same situation. Dallas has got a little bit more offensive ability to them that they've had at times. St. Louis has kind of come and go. Both teams have been on a roller coaster, both offensively and defensively, and so I just struggle to really look for good options in the defensive unit from those 2 teams. And so if I was going to go with any of those teams, I'd probably be looking at Houston. I'd probably be looking at someone like Dorsey, just because they are playing Colorado in their second leg, which Colorado's been not as strong of a team, and so one of the better matchups, but not enough for me to really want to be like this. This is the team, but definitely a double game week option to have there. But keepers, I'm getting ahead of myself. Keepers. So that takes me down to this Chicago New England game, which Chicago has struggled at home at times. They've got chops, but I like New England as a defender, even on the road. They're going to be on their second leg back at home to Toronto. I like that game right there. So it's really kind of the second leg that I'm looking at for New England. This is, as I mentioned, one of the teams where you can see both games. You can, if you put Turner on your bench and then pair him with, to be on the safe side, one of the 10:30 game goalkeepers on September 13th, you can see all of his points from both of his games to decide if you want to roll the dice on a single game week keeper, which this is different from other double game week rounds where you could preview one round before having to decide to go with your other double game week keeper and then you're locked in. You can see both rounds for Turner or any of the New England team. You can see all of their points before deciding if you want to go with a single game week keeper. And so I think for him, that makes him the top back end of your keeperoo for this round for Matt Turner. So if you're the other double game week keeper, I'd possibly consider again with you, Tyler is Stuver, but that double away, Sporting Kansas City, Dallas, both weak teams. I don't know. I'm just not excited, but I like Turner much better for his two games than I do Stuver if I want to do that, and I get to preview both points. But that does then lock me into going with one of the single game week keepers, which is going to be either the Portland New York Red Bull game or the San Diego Minnesota United game right there. And with the strategy I have right now, it doesn't matter who I pick, because I'll get to see those points before I even decide if that matters. And so shameless plug, tune in next week to find out the back end or the front end of my keeperoo right there. But I think for me, Turner is the clear head and shoulders person that you're going to want to go with for that DGW option. Going
Makes
to
sense.
going to defense, 100% agree with Gutman. The double home game, great chance. I could see no clean sheet against New England. I think Heel has the chops to be able to do that, but New England's been surprising during the season as well. And I want to question the clean sheet chance at home to New York City, but we just saw what happened with some of those offensive players not ticking and not clicking for New York City. But I still think it's just too good to pass up. Gutman's had good with bonus points. He's been a threat at goal at times. And the double home game, the only team with the double home game, I think it's great to have him in there. I already mentioned Dorsey. I think that would be an option for you as well. I'm not really interested by the other double game week players immediately. I mean, look at their bonus points. Dallas has a split home and away, so you can get a game against Austin with there. I will say Austin's had some players like Ustari who's been getting some consistent goals, and so they've been able to generate some more points. But not excited by that team. Sporting Kansas City has been giving up goals, so I mean they would be more in mind for me as maybe a differential offensive option than really a defensive option there. And so if you're following my same thought process as I want to go with New England, you could definitely get whatever New England defender you would like to pair up with Turner if that's what you want to do. Or you can, sorry, not or, but that's what we're going to do. And then you're looking at those same games that I was just talking about. You're looking at Portland defenders. You're looking at San Diego defenders, Red Bull defenders, those players right there. If you think how those games are going to play out, so mostly single game week on the back end. I think there's a smattering of DGW. This could probably be one where you may be able to get away with a single game week player, or at least have a DGW guy on your bench to see those points and have the opportunity to have them sub in with your auto route. Sorry, with your this is 100% switcheroo territory here, where some people get confused between the auto route and the switcheroo. It's going to be much harder to have that auto route happen without forcing it to have those double game week guys set up on your bench. So be careful with doing this. So you have to make that manual switch yourself to then trigger the automatic switch of the game. That's the nuance that we have right there. Let's see. Go over to chat real quick. Yeah, Gutman, Kalmanik, Dorsey. Yeah, same thing there from Daly. I like Turner this week. Yeah, Chandy likes that as well. So yeah, I mean, I think Turner's got to be the chalk for these DGW teams that we're looking at.
That makes sense with the timing.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I mean, it's there may be other single game week teams that people like better if they want to pair up. As we talked about, it's usually 1.5 times the points that you can expect during these double game weeks, and so I think New England's got a good shot at doing well with that. But this is just purely about you can see all the points, and then go from there. And rarely can we have that happen for a double game week team. All right, let's move on to midfielders. Who do you like, Tyler?
Mids was actually one I sort of loaded up a little bit on DGWs, but it was a little bit difficult to want them, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I grabbed Zinkernagel. He was one of the first on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm a little hesitant with the way he's been playing lately, especially the 2 against Philly. But it seems like we always were like, oh, he's an away player. He kind of flipped to a home player after we started talking about he's an away player. So having 2 home games could be pretty beneficial for him. I think Carl's heel is one that you kind of have to have with just his name and the fact that he's on a DGW. And then the other 2 that I picked, one I'm hesitant on, one was like a lock for me. My lock is Jack McGlynn. Guy's been playing lights out lately, and even when he's not getting assists, he usually is getting a decent amount of bonus points on top of it. So when he's going to be hosting LA and then going to Colorado, I think it's well worth picking up someone like McGlynn who's on sets. And my other guy, but I probably won't keep him. I currently have a Zuni from Austin. I don't like the idea because I think there's better single game week options, but he's like the next best DGW option. I think I have thought about grabbing Marco Royce. I'm just unsure if he's gonna play this first week because I don't know if he's getting called up for international or anything like that. So that's more of a lineup decision for me with Royce. I think he's worth it, but I don't want him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you've seen him have so many limited minutes in the regular season games, which you can only just attribute to the impact of Leagues Cup of that they actually had some chances at having results from that, which they got, and so that's where the focus shifted to as well. Well, I am going to copy and paste everything that you said for your first 2 players. McGlynn is called up, and so I mean that's when we didn't go over everyone who was called up because that's the mega reference. Check that out. And so that's the one thing is I don't know what his availability is going to be during that time, but he is absolutely one that I have an eye on when we kind of see more about that. But my first 2 players absolutely in line with you looking at Zinkernagel, looking at Carles Heel. I think those are 2 that just make sense to add to your team this week with their lineups and with some of their previous history. McGlynn, the big question mark right there. The other one that I would add that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be set on right now is Edward Lowen with St. Louis. I mean, he's gotten 2 goals over his last 2 games. I think he's coming back to a run of form, as we've said before. Not a huge confidence in the Dallas defense, and then they come into the second week on the road to Montreal, which I should have probably added in the last round. Montreal is eliminated from MLS Cup now, so they and DC are the 2 teams who have been eliminated. So this is traveling on the road to a Montreal team that I guess only Pride is what they have left to play for, because there's nothing else with MLS that they have left for this season. So I think there's a good chance for some of that offense. And so those are 3 players that I think for sure I'd be targeting for my DGW. Now I also mentioned being open to some of the Sporting Kansas City players. I mean, I'd be willing to see what kind of team they roll out. There's some consistency that I'd be a little wary of right there. I mean, Shallowy's got a goal last week. There's probably the one I'd be most tempted at midfield, but that's almost differential territory, which is hard to do this round. But I agree with you there that beyond these 3, as not Royce makes sense, but I also have that worry. Not really interested in the Dallas players. Not really interested in the Austin players. I know I mentioned Ozuni, but he's called up as well. Just some of those players to keep an eye on. So I think those 3 for me are the standout DGWs, and the rest you could definitely look at for single game week players, especially based on the form that a lot of these single game week players have had with the right matchup there. I'm really looking at your Seattle guys to see what they're going to come in with after this, Tyler. That's really where I'm kind of leading there, but I think there's some good options there in single game week. So those are the 3 that I would go with there. And Christian confirmed in there. McGlynn and Azuni both called up. So we got that right there.
I didn't realize the U.S. is playing because you had mentioned earlier that it was European.
I mean, a lot of the European guys are the ones who I think are the focus, but I think I didn't realize Celentano got called up as well, and so there's a little bit different.
He's for U.S.
Yeah, a little bit different mix of people.
I just didn't know the U.S. was playing, but it's friendlies.
It is friendlies, so that's why I see like. We'll see what happens. So,
yep.
When all that comes out. Okay, let's move on to forwards. Who you got, Tyler?
Forwards. I currently have 3 DGW forwards, but it feels wrong. I'm just gonna put that out there. I think at least one of them needs to be a single game week. I actually really like Joveljic this week, and I think he's kind of like a lock that you kind of have to grab him. Feels a little point chasey, I'm not gonna lie. However, Joveljic is on 16 goals on the season, quietly fighting for the most goals on the season, the Golden Boot, and he's playing against 2 kind of weaker defenses in Austin and RSL. Another player that's quietly been performing and we haven't really been talking about is Leo Campana. He used to be with Miami, but now he's with New England. And he's had 2 goals and an assist in his last 4 games. Now, he only scores points when he's scoring goals or assists. He doesn't really get bonus points, so that's a big asterisk there. However, as you were mentioning earlier, New England's playing against Chicago and then Toronto. They're both not the best defenses, so it's a fun little pick that you could grab.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure if Kuipers is called up or not. Campana's called up. He's I don't see him on the U.S. team. Is he with a different country? I don't know if Kuipers is called up, but he's another guy I was looking at a little bit. Other than that, I think it's just singles that you should be looking at.
Yeah, I am not familiar with if Kuipers has gotten called up or not, but Joveljic would be on my list, or is on my list. Kuipers is there right now until I see otherwise. And then after that, I mean, I was inclined to stick with Klaus for St. Louis as well. I mean, I mentioned that that Dallas Montreal game. I think that's still a good matchup for them. He's got 2 goals in his last 2 games with there, but limited shots tends to be something that can be a problem for him. So he's also one that kind of gets the goals when he only gets the points when he's getting the goals. So I could see 2 double game week forwards this round, and then maybe going with a single game week player. I mean, I think we'd be remiss to not at least mention Musa if we're talking about double game week forwards here. We've not been super high on Dallas. We're not hiding that fact there. But I mean, Musa's been on a fantastic run of form. He's had some limited minutes. He only got 8 minutes last week, so I'd be honest, I didn't follow to see if he was coming back from an injury. That's on me for not looking on him. But he's been on a fantastic run of form at St. Louis and then versus Austin, so there could be some opportunities for him. But I'll admit, even I need to check his status right now because I didn't look that up before the show, which shame on me for not doing that. But the other one that let's see here, going through my notes, this and all of that. We got Christian in chat helping out, doing the people's work, letting people know who
I didn't
is.
know Campana is Ecuadorian. Interesting.
There you go. There you go. You can.
I guess he turns into my single game week forward.
He could be your single. I mean, that's a great little pick right there to see where what you want to do. I mean, the call up list is available on MLS. We've stopped really going through that during the show because we just people need to go and check it out. And
like
call ups
me.
Like you used to be like Mr. Call Up, didn't you?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this weekend.
That's true.
Or this podcast.
And very, very much thanks to you for coming in and helping with that. So it's what's there. But I don't think that Ponce has been called up for Argentina. Is where he's at, and so I think he's another forward that we could drop into the DGW if you're looking at some forwards. If Campana is not going to work for you, and I like Christian saying in chat there the double game week cheat code that Tyler was using for that. Then versus Los Angeles at Colorado, pretty average chances right there, but he got 1 goal last week. He's had some success before. He's been on a big run of kind of poor form, but he had some success several weeks ago. Could be an option right there, but McGlynn is called up, so we'll see if that impacts there. But maybe a distant third. But that's another DGW I could see competing for that third spot with a single game week player right there. All right. Yes, Musa last 2 games, 45 and 8. I will be sure to double check Musa and put a little comment in the chat. Put it out on Twitter when I double check his status there. And even Christian, our great and powerful Oz for this episode, not sure about Musa. So we'll dig into that one. We'll dig into that one and put that on there. Just one that we overlooked during the prep today. So forgot to check on Musa. All right, let's wrap this up with who would be your DGW captain if a single game week captain is even a possibility. But who are you looking at to have your captain's armband, Tyler?
Well, until I just found out that McGlynn was called up, it was going to be on him. But I guess now it's going to be on Heel for the meantime.
Yeah, no, I think it's Heel as well. Like I said, it's I like the matchup. I like the defense to be able to plan around previewing the points. I just straight up like Heel with that Chicago and then Toronto lineup. Even if Campana was available, I think if you're going to lean into that defensive preview, that's going to knock him off anyway. So it's probably best that he has been called up. But yeah, for me, it's Heel all the way. If we will talk about the Messi question next week. is what we will do. I mean, it's probably important enough to be able to mention it. Now, would you consider single game week Messi over double game week Heal?
I don't know. He might come in with a vengeance, but he's also on the road. And Charlotte is a tough stadium to play in. So I don't think I would captain a single game week Messi. But that might be a hot take though.
I don't know. I think that's one that I would agree with. I think that these are good games. I mean, it's not like Heel's going up against the best defenses in the league or two away games right there. And so I think it would be prime first, especially since there could be multiple suspensions or absences from Miami's team. Again, a big wild card that we don't know right there. So I think that is too risky for my blood to go with that. So I like Eric mentions captaining Heel, but also having Joveljic as a backup captain.
I like you.
That's
Jungle Juice, as I call him.
That's a fun one right there. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I know the format's a little bit different. It was kind of fun just talking these double game week players. We will be talking single game week players next week to flesh out the teams because you will have time, though you still will probably have a majority of DGW players on your teams anyway. So let's wrap up everything tonight with our plugs. Tyler.
I'm gonna plug the Seattle Sounders and specifically Paul Rothrock, who is the new Messi.
That was the jersey exchange, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very much. It was very fun. I, of course, will plug the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord and the MLSFantasyBoss.com website. We can go there and check out the articles that we have coming through there. Unfortunately, due to starting college or college starting back up, we've not been having some articles from Eli, who is currently the #1 ranked player in the entire game. So one of our authors was right up there. But don't let me just stop you with one of our authors. Two of our authors are in the top 3 of the game right now. So in superstition's favor, I will not mention the other one, but some very very great stuff there. I'm pretty sure that's Cam, who's in #2.
We also have. Oh wait, no.
Black and Red at 6. So lots of great people in the top 10. Hey Ricky, you're so fine. I'm sure I'm missing some people in the top 10. Garth right there at 11. So a lot of great success right there. So check out the Fantasy Boss Discord where you can chat with a lot of these people with your questions. Check out MLSFantasyBoss.com to see the articles and differential picks coming from Tyler and his team right there. And so just check it out. It's so much fun. Such a great community. Such great information that is being pushed out there. And just we're nearing the end of the season. So if this is the first time you're visiting, check it out. Always welcome to come. All right. And don't forget, a weird round, use your resources, do your planning, and you're going to make it. It'll be just fine. And as always, good luck.